I'm gonna start with the did not finishes, my DNFs. Though I only have 3 did not finishes this year. And one is a technicality because even though I didn't finish the book, like the original book, I did get the graphic novel adaptation for the series, and I read through that. But so I'm actually gonna start with a book that I started last year, and then just kind of um, kept putting it off and kept putting it off and kept putting it off, and then just kind of did not finish it this year. Actually, do I have a... No, it does not say when I started it. So that book would actually be How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And this was my first Grady Hendrix book. And yeah, I didn't finish it. Nothing against the writing, nothing against the storytelling, but the subject matter was... I just couldn't. I just could not get through the subject matter of the book itself. It hit a little too close to home. So, I just couldn't finish. The second one is Legend by Marie Lu of the Legend trilogy. I actually did not get too far into that book before I stopped because I do not like first person POV. I care for it even less when we are in the minds of adolescents. So I understand right off the bat, I knew going in that this was already not in my age range. It's a young adult book. It is definitely riding the coattails of the Hunger Games. And there's nothing wrong with riding the coattails of the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is a great book. I liked the Hunger Games. I liked all 3. I will not read any of the other Hunger Games books, but I liked all 3. I only really enjoyed the first one. By the time the second and third came around, I just wanted to... I couldn't. I had to get an audio copy. I had to get an audiobook because Katniss was just frustrating. But frustrating in a good way because, yes, she has PTSD for what happened in book 1. And a lot of the stuff that she was dealing with was kind of understandable. Like the stuff she was dealing with in book 2 and 3 was understandable because of the shit that she had to go through in book 1. But I didn't like being in her head. It's understandable why it was written in her head. It was understandable why it was written in first person. I just did not care for it. Personally, again, I don't care for it. Twilight, I liked book 1, and it made sense to be in her head. I did not like it, but it made sense. Book 2 and 3, I wanted to rip up. I could not get through books 2 and 3. The only reason I did was because, again, I was borrowing copies, other people's copies. I will not touch any more of the Hunger Games books. I will not touch any more of the Twilight books. Not because they're bad, it's just I don't have interest in staying in those worlds anymore. Well, maybe because Twilight is bad, but Hunger Games, I'm just not interested in that world anymore. So, Legend kind of has the same setup in regards to America is split. We're kind of in a bit of a dystopian setting. We have the male character is from like the lowest of the low caste, is a criminal on the run because of things that he's done. And then the female character is a rising star. She's like the best of the best and has all the, everything on a silver spoon. Like, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than the boy. And as we get through the story, we learn, well, both sides suck, because in one of the books, they go visit the other side of America, and that side is like corporate dystopian. Well, one side is like communist dystopian or fascist dystopian. I don't remember, and honestly, I'm sorry, I really don't care. And I know the other one is corporate dystopia. So that's about as far as I know. As young adult novels, as young adult stories, I can see the appeal, and I can see it being a very well written story, very well written idea, very unique. Yes, I can see the Hunger Games fingerprints all over it, but it's not the Hunger Games. It is its own universe, and for that, I do like it. For the story that it told, I do like it. For the story that I got through with the graphic novels, I do like it. I just cannot get through the first person setting, especially when you're bouncing between the two POVs. Because just the way teenagers think, no, I'm good. The graphic novels were third person, and that was so much easier for me. Now the last one is my last nonfiction. I recorded this after my nonfiction video, but it's gonna come before my nonfiction video. So when I start talking about the one nonfiction book that I did not finish, it's this one. Woodlea, or Woodlea, Life on the Lake of the Dancing Sunbeams. I will read the back. Woodlea, Life on the Lake of the Dancing Sunbeams, takes you on an extraordinary journey back to the early days of Florida's small hamlets, cracker houses, lush backwoods, puffing steamboats, and its endless rows of citrus trees. The journey begins in 1868, when Melton and Sarah Isabella Haynes, homesteading in a beautiful green hammock on the shores of Lake Harris. They carved from this property a thriving citrus plantation, while still maintaining much of the land's beauty for entertaining guests and admiring the picturesque view of the lake's dancing sunbeams, as well as fulfill a promise they made to their idealistic young daughter, Isabella May, who affectionately named their beautiful new home, Woodlea. The journey continues with Woodlea's renaissance and its powerful presence in the citrus industry over the next 100 years that followed, with the Haynes era orchestrated by Amos Welkin of Philadelphia, who purchased Woodlea in 1892, his distinguished son Guilford, with his charming wife Maud, maintained Woodlea's unique place in the community with innovations in the citrus industry, while hosting community gatherings and Boy Scout jamborees. The Wilkins' loyal nephew, Guilford Sims, with his lovely and hard-working wife, Harriet, kept Woodlea's torch burning brightly, honoring the three men and women who came before. This memory-filled journey culminates with a Florida community's pride in preserving and restoring the last remaining structure on Woodlea's property, the cozy cottage built by Captain Melton Hayes in 1871. a historic jewel that bridges the present with Woodlea's glorious past and its contributions to Florida's rich history. Now, that sounds all well and good. And that sounds like right up my alley because I love history. And even better when it's local history. Okay, a few miles north of where I live. I'm not in Florida. I'm not in the Orlando area. This is Tavares. But unfortunately, Mr. Bob Grenier is not an author. According to his About page, he was born in 1958 in Chicago, Illinois, grew up in the Chicago suburb of North Lake. Bob moved to Lake County, Florida in 1985 and spent 16 years as an engineer at Walt Disney World, retiring in 2005. Currently residing in Tavares, Florida, Bob is the owner of Woodlea Heating and Cooling, specializing in HVAC systems for historic structures. So understandable how he then got to learn about the old house. His interests include baseball. He is a die-hard Chicago Cubs fan, hoping they will win the World Series in his lifetime. His first love is dinosaurs and fossil hunting, an interest that started at the young boy in the early 1960s. He views the discovery of Sue the T-Rex as one of the greatest discoveries in human history. Bob is also a Civil War reenactor with the 17th Connecticut Volunteer Infantry. Bob remains actively involved throughout Florida in historic preservation and education, serving as the president of the Historical Society of Tavares and the Lake County Historical Society. In 2007, he received the Lake County Historical Society's President's Award, and in 2008, the Historical Society's Writer-Author of the Year Award. He is an honorary Legionnaire in the Sons of the Confederate Veterans, and in 2005 was the first recipient of the SV Sons of Confederate Veterans Florida Division's Distinguished Legionnaire Award. Bob has contributed articles and stories for several publications and is the editor of the Impressions of a Nation Divided newsletter of the North Lake County, Florida Civil War Roundtable. In 2008, Bob was elected to serve on the Tavares City Council. Alright, why did I read that? Because this guy's not an author. And it shows so much in this book. This is definitely published to raise money for the building that this is about. That's all fine and good. It's propaganda, it's a pamphlet, that's fine. I would not have an issue with this if we spent most of the time with the family when they were in Florida, or families. I don't need to know the history of the Boy Scouts. I don't need to know... Hold on, I actually wrote the rant down. I wrote it down in a couple places, but this is the... not written by an author, so he doesn't have any training. But I'm not holding him back any punches, fine. The book is explained to be the history of an old cracker house in Central Florida. When we say cracker, for Floridians, cracker cattle, cracker house, it's basically our way of saying cowboy. But we spent so much time not in Florida. Or talking about the house itself. Yes, we do touch a little on the local history. Sometimes, depending on if it pops up, we talk about the history of the orange plantations, the orange, the growing of the oranges and then distributing it out of, in this case, Tavares and Central Florida. But the it spends so much time on the history of the places that these people come from. Like, there was a huge chunk of pages and pages on the history of Amherst College in Massachusetts. And this book is supposed to be about a house in Florida. Why? I don't need to know about Amherst. I don't need to know about the reason why Amherst is the way it is. It's because they were supposed to take another college and relocate it, and it ended up being Amherst. I don't need to know that. Now I do, though, because of the book. Yeah, I think this was the gentleman who went to Amherst. So we have the original, the guy who built it, Amos from Philadelphia. And yes, we do get a little history on I think he's a German, so the Germans who immigrated into Philadelphia. And then his son, where we get Guilford and the Amherst and the Boy Scouts. Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. Forgive me, but holy. Okay, then we have, and it doesn't even say, like, that wall. Here we go, in we have this one chapter that is, so Maud and Guilford are basically early 1900s. Okay, this book was at least published, if I can find the page, was published in 2007. But chapter 5, at least the beginning of chapter 5, is written as if this Bob Grenier was at a wedding. This past Wednesday, I had the great pleasure to have been a guest at the Leesburg home of Miss Annabel Taylor for a very special occasion. Miss Martha Maud Moore, a young woman of beauty and accomplishments, was united in marriage to Mr. Guilford Morgan Wakelin. As a society reporter for the Lake Citizen, I have attended many weddings and receptions. On this charming spring afternoon, I enjoyed what I can only sincerely describe as a pretty wedding. This came out of nowhere, and not even that. At the end of this little, I guess, fictional, I don't even know if it's fictional, because there's no mention if this came from an actual newspaper or not. If this guy verbatim wrote it as straight from the newspaper, or if he wrote it out of his ass, as if he's pretending to be a guest at this wedding. There's something else that happens in this chapter. I wanted to. No, I guess. No, I guess that's not here. I do know early in this book, they talk about someone being religious, and there's nothing wrong with being religious. I'm not surprised that this, like, I wouldn't be surprised if if the person they were talking about wasn't, like, I would be surprised if the person wasn't religious, given the fact that this was the late 1800s, 1892, 1878, 1868 to, 1870s. They're talking about the Isabella May, the daughter. But she's like, oh, bless God, bless this. And I'm like, unless you are quoting someone directly from something that they wrote, like in their diary or a newspaper, never assume anybody's religion. Please, I just, that rubbed me the wrong way. Just, unless it's a fictional person that I created or the author created, and it, I'm never like, I'm never gonna write nonfiction because it's just not something that I want to do. But I will. I just, we don't know what this person said, anything like that, and you're saying that this is praise God or something like. Yeah. Okay. I did like I can tell you I stopped reading when we started talking about Amherst because I'm like, again, we're learning the history of a college in Massachusetts when the book is supposed to be the focus of a house in Florida. But I did skip ahead because I wanted to know, okay, well, what's happening to the house now? Or at least back in 2007 when this book was published. Well, what they had done is they had raised enough money to physically put the house on a trailer and drive it to a new location. Unfortunately, structural damage happened because you're taking it from where it's been sitting for the past 100 plus years, 200 plus years. No, 100. Yeah, 100 would be 1960 something. So past 100 some odd years. I was perfectly fine there. Yes, a little rundown. Yes, Florida humidity is not kind to wood. Pretty sure they had, insects and termites and all that fun stuff. But when you take it on a road, it's going to shake, rattle, and roll. Well, maybe not roll, but it's going to shake and rattle. So yes, structural damage. And then arson. Someone or some people decided to just light a fire. And it being an old wooden house, they actually have a little a cartoon about the movement, the moving it. And it's a cute little house. That's another thing. They should have put the house on the cover, not these three guys. They put it on the back cover. But, so August of 2007, so this was obviously published after that. But August of 2007, someone lit a fire, arson, burned the house down. And they must have had floor plans or original floor plans, or from the move they have a map of where everything was in the layout. And they have rebuilt it. I'm pretty sure they have rebuilt it. It's been roughly 20 plus years since this book was published. And the house, or the building, the new building that was in the shape of the original house, is a shop, like a gift shop for the place that they relocated it to. I will say this in terms of pluses. The formatting is really good. Whoever helped format did a good job. I mean, I would not put this as the actual first page, and this is the land deed to the land that Woodlea would be become. But instead of like having all the pictures be like this, like just dedicated pages to the pictures, they're throughout the entire book. And they are actually very fitting to what is being said, if not on the actual page, but like a couple pages beforehand or after. I did like that. Once I stopped reading because of just I can't. I did keep going and just looking at the pictures because that is a good. I like that. So the formatting of the book was very well done. It's just we do not need. Oh yeah, and he acknowledges, thank you everybody for this, and of course God. So yeah, that I don't mind because that's the author speaking, but just talking and adding. So 300 pages. It really did not need to be 300 pages. Oh well. That's it for my did not finishes. Out of 225 books, 227 because of the 2 that I started and did not finish. I'm not counting How to Sell a Haunted House because I technically started it last year. 3 did not finishes. Not bad. Granted, I should probably I keep knocking into my desk, or the little desk that I'm using. But I mean, I am getting better with did not finishing. So maybe next year I'll have some more. We'll see. But I mean, I probably would have I probably would have DNF'd the one of the Datsuns destroyed. Toy, because of course they do. So I probably would have DNF'd the Guns, Germs, and Steel if the library did not have an audio copy. So a lot of the books that I have been able to read, now granted it's not a savior. The Legends would have been like I did borrow an audio copy of Legends, and I still did not finish it. There's another book that I did not finish. Did I leave the game? Last year I tried to listen to The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, which was book 3 of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo Millennial series. That was an audiobook that I borrowed. I did not finish it. So an audiobook is not an indication that I will finish the book. Oh, How to Sell a Haunted House was also an audio. It's just easier for me to listen to an audiobook, and I'm more forgiving of an audiobook because I can do things like drive, clean the house. I can do other things while I'm with an audiobook, whereas with a physical book I actually have to sit down and pay attention. But yeah, that was my did not finishes.